What's up, guys? Rick from DFS On Demand here, back with another quarter arcade update, and then we're going to build some lineups for the Shell Houston Open on the PGA Tour. Before we do that, we'll talk about what's been going on the last couple of weeks. So the quarter arcade challenge has been exclusively PGA, basically done NBA for this year in terms of the quarter arcade challenge. I'm dabbling just a little bit, but you guys will probably not see it again. Baseball starts here in a few days, so we'll probably do a little bit of that. But for right now, it's the PGA Tour. The Shell Houston Open is this week, and the Masters is next week, so this should be a pretty cool run. But anyway, last couple weeks have been okay. We took a couple of small losses, probably 2 and 3 weeks ago. Last week was the Puerto Rico Open, where we doubled our entries in both the main quarter arcade and the smaller one that opens up later, and I was still a little disappointed in that, and I'll show you why. Again, after 3 rounds, we were in such good shape in this thing. So you can see, so here's the cut numbers. We're right here compared to the field. So the field got 5%, or I'm sorry, 5% of the field got all 6 guys through. We got 26% of our lineups got all 6 through. The field, or 21% of the field got 5 guys through. 60% of our lineups got through. So 86% of our lineups had 5 or 6 guys through, which absolutely demolished the field. Unfortunately, let's see if I can find this. Well, we were in first at one point. This was on Saturday. So during the 3rd round, we were in first at one point. After the 3rd round, we were looking like this. So we were looking at it basically 9 times and 4 times our buy-ins. I think we had 2 lineups in the top 10 of the bigger quarter arcade. So again, after 3 rounds, primed to win this thing. We're primed to make a deep run. It's hard to win these things. But what has been frustrating this year is we've had no good Sundays. Every Sunday has just fallen off the mat. Really poor results for our golfers on the last day. We end up going, profiting $14 and profiting, what's that? $17. So obviously we'll take this, but what could have been is a little disappointing. So how does that leave us for the season or for the challenge? Here we go. So here's every entry, 750 of them to be exact. So that is what? 18 different quarter arcade challenges at 50 lineups apiece, 750 lineups. Okay. So 750 lineups or entries. We've put in $187. We are up 158, so an 84% ROI. Obviously, we will take this for the rest of eternity. But I'm still trying to win this thing for you guys. Like we're getting ourselves in some really good positions, and I'm hoping one of these weeks we're going to take it down. So that's the recap. We'll hop into the Shell Houston Open and creating some lineups for that. All right, so here's the lobby for the Shell Houston Open this week. I won't bore you by going through these guys. I've already done that. I've created a preview video for this tournament. So if you're interested, go watch that first and then come back. I won't re-talk about all these guys. But what you'll see me do is I've gone through the guys that I liked, and I've gone through, here's my key stats for this week in my research spreadsheet. I've gone through and basically identified, the top 10 guys in key stats, and I've marked them with kind of a thumbs up here on Fantasy Cruncher to make sure that I'm getting more exposure to them. Okay, so we have not run any crunches yet. I've just gone through and identified the players that I like. The reason that I decided to go with the key stats, or 1 through 10 this week, well, first of all, I liked 6 of the guys anyway. I already went through and kind of tagged them. But this sheet has been really, really good the last 4 or 5 weeks, and I've probably not relied on it as much as I should have. And some names have gone deep that I missed out on. When Mark Leishman won, he was my 4th ranked golfer, and I had 0% of him. And, I don't want to say that's the reason, one instance, one sample size one guy is the reason I'm making the changes, but this has been really good and I want to lean on it a little more, right? This is the research I've done all week. I found out these are my top 10 best guys in terms of stats. Obviously, a lot more goes into it, but I want to lean on it a little more. So I went through and guys like Kyle Stanley, Billy Horschel, Luke List I usually have a lot of. Like those are guys Horschel and Stanley specifically are probably guys I would not have had much of, but I've tagged them on Fantasy Cruncher, so we'll see what comes out on the crunches when we actually run this. I'm gonna just go through and update my settings here. Bear with me; they changed the layout of this. Here we go. So I don't want anybody more than 40%. And I'm gonna go with a 4% randomness, which is what I've been doing the last couple weeks. If you've never seen this before, there are 2 quarter arcade challenges this week that I'm going to max enter. One of them I will have no more than 40% of any player, and in the second one we will lock in 2 players at 100%. The 2 players that we lock in at 100% will not appear on the first set where we have no more than 40. So we're going to need to identify the players that we're going to save for 100%, but we'll do that in a second. Let's do the first crunch and see what happens. Okay, so 25 players in this core. That's probably about right. We're usually kind of in the 25 to 30 range here. A lot of John Rahm. A lot of Tony Finau, Charles Howell, Peter Uihlein. I like all those guys. Glover, Horschel, Cabrera Bello. That's fine. I'll probably take Wiesberger and Westwood down a little bit when I have my top tier. So I might have like 6 or 7 guys at 40%. I really like that to be my top tier. I'll still have Westwood and Wiesberger, but I'll probably get them down at like 25%, something like that. Poston, like that a lot. Poston. I actually don't know how he pronounces it, but he's been playing great. This is actually a pretty good crunch. I'll tell you what. I don't mind. Okay, Ricky Fowler might be a candidate for 100%. So I'm okay with him being at 2% here because he might be a guy that we go 100 with. We might go, let's see. So if you watch the video, there's a big pricing issue with Tony Finau, but I'm not sure I want to go 100% on him. I might though. So here's the thing. I'm very aware that Tony Finau is going to be extremely highly owned this week. You have 2 options. So let's assume Finau is like 25% owned. I don't really want to be in the 15 to 35% range on Tony Finau. Like, if he's 25% owned and I have 15% of him, and he stinks, that's great, but I still have 15% of him. It's not like a full fade. And if I have 35% of him, and he's great, okay, but I only got like 10% more than the field. So I'd rather say, I know that Finau is going to be highly owned. I would rather full fade 0% or 100% just go all in. So if he has a great week and I've got him at 100%, awesome. I outflanked the field a ton. Obviously, you're bringing on more risk that way, but I do really like Finau. So what I'm thinking I might do is I might go Fowler and Finau as my 2 100% guys. Now, if we do that, we take Finau out of this pool, and who do we want to get in here? I mean, we have a lot of Spieth. We have a lot of Rahm. There's no Stenson here. What about Rose and Adam Scott? There's Adam Scott, 38%. No Rose. So here's what we'll do. We will we'll get rid of Fowler and Finau. And those are going to be our 2 that we lock into 100%. Okay, so they're not going to be in this pool. I'm going to give a thumbs up to Stenson. I'm going to give a thumbs up to Rose to try to get more of those guys. Stenson is a GPP play I think he'll be under-owned. I wanted to bring down Westwood. So again, I'm fine with him. I'm fine on taking Westwood. I just don't want a full 40% of him. And then Wiesberger is another guy that I actually like as well. You can see mostly on the Euro Tour, but has had some really great results. Look at this: 1, 2, 3, 4 top fours in his last 7 tournaments, and look at all these top tens. So he's a guy that I like. So I actually won't take him all the way down to. Let's just take him down to like 30 and see what happens. Okay, this is interesting. So now we got 40% of Stenson. Wow. Less Spieth, just a little bit of Justin Rose. Justin Rose is perpetually under-owned. I would kind of like more of him. I'd almost like to split the difference between Adam Scott and Justin Rose, where they're both very close in price, 97 and 94. I'd almost just like to split the difference on them. And instead of having 15 lineups of Adam Scott and 2 of Justin Rose for 17, I'd rather go like 8 and 9 for 17. Jordan Spieth, I wouldn't mind a little more of. This isn't bad, though. I mean, let's try. Sorry, bear with me here. I love Berger at 26%. Mickelson at 26%. That's fine. This is not bad. Let me just try something. So crunch number 2 is not bad. Let me just try to do a touch more of Rose, and then I'm wondering if we do Stenson at 30, if that'll give us 30% of Stenson and then a little more of Spieth. So let's see what happens here. See, now we have so much of Rose. Now we have 40% Rose, 18 Adam Scott, 8% Spieth. That's not what we wanted. That was not the result that we wanted. Let's go back to crunch number 2 here. And I'll take back down. We'll just go back. Stenson at 40, and then Justin Rose with 1. Love Uline at 40. Got plenty of Rahm. I'm cool with most of this. Glover, that's fine. I'm just afraid this is going to be the week he burns us, right? We will be way heavy on the field. Ooh, with Patrick Reed at 34%. Let's look at that, man. See, here's the issue with Patrick Reed. He hasn't been playing well at all, as you can see. But this course sets up well for him. He's a proven guy. If you're going to sit around and wait for Patrick Reed to win a golf tournament or to have a top 5 before you start rostering him again, you're going to miss the boat. Okay? So think about that. If Patrick Reed goes out this week and let's just say he finishes 3rd, something like that, or wins it, God forbid he wins it, he's back now. Everyone's back on it. You've got no secrets. So what I'm almost willing to do is lose money, and this isn't just strictly Patrick Reed, this is kind of with other guys too. Lose money on him for 4 or 5 weeks too early, but get him when he goes off and wins the tournament, as opposed to not spending any money on him for 4 weeks, he wins a tournament, then I get on him, and everyone else gets on him, and then I'm just riding with whatever everyone else does. So I don't mind losing. I don't mind being too early as long as I get the big hit, if that makes sense. So this isn't bad here. I might stick with this. Let me just see if I can get. Ryan Palmer always shows up, and I do not like Ryan Palmer. This is probably the week he's going to win it. So let's look at our 40s. These are all legit guys here. All right, so what we'll do is we'll take crunch number 2 as our 40%ers. And then let's see what we can get when we lock in Fowler and Finau. And let's see if we can't get like more Justin Rose. Let's see what happens here. All right, so similar. Less Patrick Reed, less Luke List, less Phil Mickelson. This is all fine because we don't want them to be too similar, right? Like we're still gonna have 40% of Rahm, Cabrera Bello, Uline, Charles Howe. That's fine. Like we don't want them to be too similar. I love this. I love this if I could just stick Justin Rose in here at like 12%. Let's just see. Let's see if I can just get. I don't want too much Justin Rose. So let's, okay, well, I'll give him a second thumbs up, but then I'll pop him at like 20. So he can't go over 20. $16. Okay, oh, this is pretty sick. Okay. Les Palmer, great. We lost Spieth and Berger here, but how much Spieth did we have? We had none in that one, so we actually gained him. But what do we have him here? I want Spieth. I want enough of him. 18%. Kind of wish I had more. So we'd have him at 18% in one and only 2% in another. Where's Berger here? Okay, good. 26. Okay. This isn't bad. Are we missing anybody? I mean, we've got all the big names, right? We have some Spieth. We have plenty of Rahm, plenty of Stenson. I shoehorned Rose in, Adam Scott. Oh, okay, 30% of Adam Scott there. And then 8% of them there. That's fine. So this is the 100%. So this is Fowler Finau. Okay, so this is pretty good. I'll probably stick with something just like this. So I guess theoretically what I'm trying to do here is diversify my 40% players against my 100% players. So I don't particularly want a lot of guys that have the same ownership. I don't want guys that have 40% in this field and 40% in this field, because if they have a bad week, I've crushed 40% of both lineups. I'm trying to, with my second set of entries, I'm trying to cover the things that I don't have in the first and vice versa. That way we're just trying to hit as many possible combinations as we can, obviously. So that's the mindset. So when I have like 30% of Adam Scott in the first set, I don't want 30% of them. I either want like 100% of them or I want 8%. I want some level of fluctuation, some level of variance that can come into play here and cover a bunch of different combos. So the guys that we are going to have a lot of that we're going to live and die with are Rahm, Uline, and Cabrera Bello. We have 40% of each of those guys in each set. I think Charles Howe is close to 40 in each one. So that core right there might make up what's going to happen. Like if all four of those guys miss the cut, we'd be pretty dead. But those guys that I do have so much of in each are going to be some of my favorite players. And that's what you're seeing here. So I hope that helps. I know these videos are usually a lot longer than they probably have to be, but I'm hoping that you guys are getting something out of this. If you want to see me do other things, let me know. But this is probably what I'll go with for the Shell Houston Open. I will tweet out every single lineup and my final ownership numbers right after lock. So check me out on Twitter. It's at DFS On Demand. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. I'll also include a link to the results spreadsheet so you can see where we stand on everything. All right, guys. Talk to you soon. Good luck. See ya.